Hey, good morning. Welcome to Friday, and I hope you've had a fantastic week. And I'm certainly looking forward to and feeling excited about the weekend and some beautiful weather and just getting out and about in nature. And this morning, really would love to share a little bit about radical self-love. Hey, Kim, great to have you on, babe. And I really think, radical self-love is so important in today's world. And it's like a lot of this comes back to obviously how we're actually feeling about ourselves and how we're actually able to respond every day. Hey Marie, great to have you on. Hey Em, so great to see so many people. So yeah, definitely give me a shout out and say hi if you're on here. With radical self-love, it is, in my opinion, the key to every single thing that we've kind of got going on that relates to unworthiness, or that relates to perhaps feelings of shame, or perhaps relates to addictive behaviors. And addictive behaviors, I really feel, come from a deeper yearning of wanting to fill a void of something. Quite often, it can really go back into like feelings of feeling unlovable, unworthy. And by addictive behaviors, I'm also including addictive emotions in there as well. And so quite often we can find ourselves going through with these patterns of either depression or anxiety, or and when I say that, it's feelings of depression, feelings of anxiety, feelings of self-pity, or feelings of being a victim of the world, or feelings of all of just anything that's like an unresourceful feeling or an unresourceful behavior. And by that I mean it doesn't feel great, it doesn't do us any good, it's not helpful to us, it's not helpful to others, and it's not helpful to the greater good. So that's how we can really, I guess, discern an addictive behavior, like perhaps like a negative one, or something that's actually not really enhancing our life, compared to a positive one as well. And I'm sure that we could all identify addictive behaviors that are actually really positive as well, things that you love to do, that you're inspired to do, that feel great for you, like maybe smiling at a stranger, or maybe doing something kind, or things like that. But it's really looking at the things, whether that's emotional eating, or whether that's perhaps feeling controlled by alcohol, or by coffee, or by anything that kind of is definitely outside your own morals and values in how you want to be living your life. And I really think that this is where it creates this perpetual cycle as well, where if it is against our own personal standards of integrity, or how we actually really do want to be living our life, and we're going against that daily, then, or even weekly. Hey Chris, great to have you on. Hey Carissa. Then when we're actually stepping into that behavior, then of course it creates this ongoing cycle where we don't like our behavior, we don't like what we're doing, we feel bad about ourselves, and therefore we're recreating the void again and again, where we're missing feeling great to have you on, Kim, thank you, darling. Where we're missing this feeling of, whether it's feeling that we're lovable, whether it's feeling understood, whether it's feeling acceptable. Hey Katie, great to have you on, babe. Whether it's feeling worthy, at any level. And I really find, there's probably two things that I think most humans crave the most, and it's a sense of certainty, it's a sense of security and knowing that we're going to be safe, that it's all going to work out okay, and feeling loved, and feeling acceptable, feeling understood, feeling like we belong. And from that, when those two things are covered, I truly believe that we as humans are possible of so many amazing things. But a lot of the time it's our ego mind, it's our survival mind that makes us feel separate from, that makes us feel inferior to or superior to. So both of those are functions of the ego, and we can really identify functions of the ego, or symptoms of being in our ego mind instead of living from our heart and soul, which come back to defending. If we're defending anything, or feel like we need to defend anything, if we're blaming anybody, or blaming ourselves, if we're criticizing ourselves or others, others, hey Jan, great to have you on, babe. So if we're criticizing others, if we are trying to justify, so this is a basic example of this, and I think, God, I could put my hand up 1,000 times. It's like if you actually feel in your heart that going to an event or going to something or meeting up with somebody is not like what you wanting to do, or it's not going to serve you, or any of those things, but that we say no, because, and so we go into justifying, like, no is enough. It's so okay. And I think these subtle levels, we're looking for acceptance, we're looking for feeling of wanting to belong, we're not wanting to let people down, we're not wanting to feel like and this goes back into pleaser behavior and all of those things. And I've done everything that I'm talking about on here as well. So like I've definitely had emotional eating. I've definitely been addicted to the emotion of self-pity and depression, where like I was so desperately trying to get my needs met through those behaviors, but I hated the way that I was actually doing it because it didn't serve me, it didn't serve others. Coming from that place of wanting sympathy or, none of that feels good. It doesn't empower us to step forward and move through our life in a really, really empowered way. And so I kind of lost my loop there where I was going with that, but all of those behaviors can be so detrimental to our own self-love. And so I've been diving into an amazing book at the moment called Shame and Codependency. It's really understanding at the deeper levels how shame plays out in our life and how ashamed, like even for myself, I felt as a child of my own feelings, which has been like really deep, big stuff for me, which has shocked me. Like obviously I've done a lot of work on my own self-love and appreciating myself and everything, but I think we all have different layers and different depths, and it's a continuing journey. Self-love is not a one-time certificate. It's not like, oh yep, finally got there, I finally feel good about myself. It's an in-the-moment thing. It's not a constant thing. So just depending on what's going on in your life, or what are the events that are happening in your life, or even how particular people sometimes can respond to us, can make us question our own self-worth, or can make us question like our lovability, or whether we're acceptable, or whether we're understood. And so the greater the more time that we really dive into some of this stuff and understand ourselves and what are our own personal triggers, what are our own personal wounds that we've taken on from childhood, perhaps even just by a look that somebody's given us, which was like a look of contempt, or a look of why are you doing that, or why are you behaving that way, where we've actually taken that as a deeper level, that not only the behavior was wrong, but that we were wrong. And I think that's the distinguishing difference, and something that I've definitely learnt, the distinguishing difference between perhaps a feeling of guilt in that, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or shouldn't have acted that way, or that upset mum or dad, and a deep feeling of shame that I'm actually a bad person. So it's the guilt is about the behavior, shame is about us and us being wrong, us being bad, us being an awful person. And for myself personally, and I don't know about you guys, but for myself personally, shame is like one of those deep emotions as well, that where you feel completely unworthy of even living. Not that like I would take any action around that, obviously, but like those deep feelings of shame, there's like complete separation at that point from our own internal love and our own internal connection with that larger part of ourself, with that larger, truest part of ourself as well. And so all of these different emotions obviously can play out in different ways. And the more that we actually dive into and really understand, it's like, well, what am I feeling shameful about? And is that really true? And is that really logical? Is there a reason for that? Or does this relate back to something that happened in childhood, which I'm now replaying, and I actually experienced that situation through a child's eyes, so I didn't have the emotional understanding, I didn't have the perspective around what actually was happening. Perhaps our parents were stressed, perhaps somebody, a kid at school was getting bullied, and so then they tried to bully us or make us feel bad. And shame is one of those things where we we will project onto others our own shame or our own blame or our own criticism in a way to escape the shame. And that's again where we don't feel great doing that, but it's really a reaction of the ego mind and survival mind in trying to justify or in trying to find some place where we can kind of feel acceptance and feel belonging. So obviously, like really, really deep emotions, quite painful emotions for a lot of people. I know it's been an interesting journey for myself as well. Like I was saying, but the more that we can work through this and uncover just layers of what's actually kind of going on, and really understanding that at a deeper level as well, where we're coming from that place of, what was it that I was actually seeking at the time? Like, instead of feeling shame, what did I want to feel instead? Or how did I want to feel in that particular experience? What was it that I was actually trying to achieve? And I find, like, for myself personally, when I go into the emotion of shame, I'm seeking approval, I'm seeking understanding from others, because a lot of the time, if I feel a sense of shame, I feel that I've been misunderstood, or I've not expressed myself properly simply because I've felt ashamed of my own feelings, or I've made them bad and made them wrong, and therefore made me bad and wrong as a person. So I think at a subtle level, even the most confident people in the world, can still feel these types of emotions at a different level. And one of my mentors was even sharing the other day, how he still doubts himself, like even when he gets up on stage in front of lots and lots of people. So it's, I think that's reassuring. We're all human and so I think even there can be the feeling of shame in having some of these emotions as well, of feeling like we can't get our life together, or feeling depressed, or feeling like I should be happier, or I should be this, or I should be that. And in this particular book that I'm reading, I just love it because it really explains all the different personas and the different layers and the masks and the identities then that we place on top of our real self when we make our real self bad or wrong. So our real self is that childlike, just wanting to be joyful, wanting to be playful, and maybe, we're running through the house one day and we're like having a great time, and then one of our parents yelled at us and said, be quiet, or, you're being too noisy, or any of those things. And then suddenly, like, you feel bad and you feel like you've been shamed, and no doubt, the parent would have felt bad, and I'm sure we've all done that as parents as well, where then we feel shameful as parents, or, we realize we've taken out our own anger on somebody else because we're scared, or we're worried, or we're stressed, or there's something else going on. And so this shame cycle kind of gets projected on and on. And so we eliminate that simply by having an awareness around what's actually happening and addressing it before we're actually shaming or blaming somebody else. And so it's really, I think it's great to acknowledge these things. And like I said before, coming back to that place of really, I think, like, understanding at the deeper level what's actually kind of going on. And so there's that real self, and when we understand, like, and maybe some journaling around this, who am I really? What, like, if I could strip back all those layers and all these different things onto who I should be or what I should be doing and everything else, who is the real me? What does my heart and soul long for? And do some journaling around that. Because what happens when the real self is criticized, then we actually have a devalued self. So that's when we perceive ourselves through other people's eyes, through other people's experiences, and we're looking at that, at our real self and criticizing it and going, well, you're no longer worthy, or you're no longer acceptable, or you shouldn't behave that way, or anything else. And that's where the critic then persona is created. So there's the devalued self that feels bad or feels ashamed of what's actually happened, makes itself bad and unworthy, and then the critic jumps in and goes, well, you should have been different, or you shouldn't have said that, or you should have behaved differently, or you should have been smarter, or prettier, or kinder, or stronger, or more musclier, or shouldn't have cried, or shouldn't have been so emotional, or any of those things as well. So that's where then the critics created, and then from the critic, then the identity of being the ideal self. So if only I was better, if only I was more successful, if only I was this, if only I was that, is then created and laid again on top. And so we're all striving for this ideal self, trying to finally one day feel enough. And all of it is an illusion, is a creation within the ego survival mind, trying to fit in and trying to belong. And we can circumnavigate all of that. We can cut straight to the chase by literally coming back to our heart and our soul. And like, I literally put my left hand on my heart and I just say, you know, my soul says, or my spirit says, and really start to tune in at a deeper level around what is my real truth here. Like, if I was to come out of my ego mind, and one of the best ways that we can actually do that is just by focusing on our surroundings. So looking around, perhaps noticing what is in the room and staring intently at something, going, yeah, this is where I am. I'm not caught in the past. I'm not caught in a previous event. I'm actually here right now. And we breathe and take in perhaps the beauty of nature, or we can tap into any of our five senses, and it brings us back to the present moment, as opposed to the pain and suffering that the ego mind is caught in from being caught in the past. So coming back to the present moment is a great way to really start to feel into and connect with our deeper self, our real self, our heart, our soul, our spirit. And from that space, I know when I'm in that space, I know that I'm lovable. I know that I feel no sense of separation with anyone or anything. I'm not blaming myself. I'm not judging myself or others. I'm not criticizing anyone. There's nothing to defend. There's a beautiful statement: the truth does not need to be defended. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that we can rest in that heart and soul and spirit, and be in that love, in that feathered nest of just truly taking care of ourselves. And when we act from that space, we're living within integrity, we're living within our own values, and really making a difference in our own life and filling up our own bucket through this radical self-love. We don't need to please others. We don't need to try and seek somebody else's approval from that space. It's so freeing and so filled with love and contentment. And being able to access that part of yourself, I truly believe, is one of the most empowering things. Hey Nat, great to have you on, darling. Where we can really take our life to the next level, where we can believe in ourselves that we really can be and do anything that we're actually wanting. And that's where radical self-love really comes through at the highest level, in just giving ourselves permission to be our real self, no longer feeling like we need to conform to society or conform to what it is that we believe that other people need from us or demand from us or expect from us, and neediness and expectation and jealousy and comparison. All of those things are functions of the ego mind in trying to get control back, or in trying to hold on to something that is scary. Because remember, hey Kim, great to have you on, darling. Remember that the ego mind really wants that sense of control. It wants to know that it's safe, and so it tries to grip onto something, whether that's love or whether that's security or whether that's money or anything, but it wants to be able to hold on to it, so it becomes attached to different things, whether that's a person, whether that's a job, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a house, whether that's an item, but it forms attachments, and then it also forms an aversion, which is like a pushing away. So it's like, I want to move away from that, it doesn't feel good for me, or like we push against, and we create so much resistance in our life that it creates physical exhaustion, because we're resisting everything. We're living in this space of fear because the ego mind is there to protect us. So it's fear-based. It's looking for, hey Trude, great to have you on. It's looking for all the things that could harm us. It's looking for all the things that could hurt us. That could be people, that could be situations and things. And in that moment that we're like caught in the ego survival mind, we're in the attraction phase of creating those things and magnetizing ourselves to those things, knowing full well that like attracts like. So the more that we come back into radical self-love, we drop back into our heart, our soul, our spirit, we know what's our truth, and we know the real us. And the more that we become conscious then around letting go of any time that we're like in criticizing, we're blaming, we're defending, we're justifying, or withdrawing. Sorry, I didn't mention that one before. That one's been a huge one one of mine, and I think it definitely comes up when I feel a sense of shame. I want to hide from the world, and so, you know, that could be really relevant for you as well. I know it's definitely very active for me, where I feel like I need to withdraw, I need to hide, I need to get myself sorted before I go back out there. My heart and soul knows, you know, there's nothing to be scared of, that I really can come from that place of just being me, and when I love me, I set everyone else free. And that's what I love really about self-love, and really about embracing that truest sense of self as well. Hey Martha, great to have you on, darling. So it's powerful, powerful stuff. And in that moment that we really do drop back into our own self-love, there is no void. And when there's no void, there's no need for the addictive behavior or anything else outside of ourselves in order to actually drop back into that behavior. So the behavior is no longer necessary because we're not trying to get our needs filled through an external means, which generally is very unsuccessful, and particularly if it's an addictive behavior like I spoke about at the start, that's out of integrity, that's out of your own personal morals and values. We're trying to meet, you know, one or more of our 6 human needs, but it's in a way that doesn't feel good for us. Therefore, it drives lower self-esteem. The ego mind gets even more freaked out. The survival mind gets even more freaked out. It's still trying to get that need met. And so it becomes this perpetual cycle where we continue doing this thing. And that's what I did with emotional eating for years, where it was recognizing, hey, it's actually not the emotional eating that's the issue. It's the emotions underneath all of that that are actually the cause, and the symptom is only the emotional eating, or the addictive behavior is only the symptom for a deeper underlying issue, which I truly believe comes back to feeling disconnected with our real self, or at some way, sometime in our childhood or in growing up, you know, which, you know, we're all so human, you know, we've rejected a part of ourselves, or we've not allowed our own needs to be fulfilled by us. And as humans and as adults, you know, it's our responsibility to be able to fill our own bucket, to get our own needs met within ourselves. And when we can do that, we really do set everybody else free. And it's not that, you know, we obviously still have loving connections and loving relationships, but you no longer become needy and dependent on those relationships, and it really will set you free at that next level in being able to stay your course, being able to live your life purpose, in being able to stay true to who you really are, regardless of what everybody else is doing around you. So I truly hope that's been helpful. Lots of love to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have so much love and gratitude for you all, and have an amazing Friday. And if anybody's got any questions around that, I'm more than happy to jump on, and we can do like a free coaching strategy around that, or just, you know, dealing with any of those things that perhaps have been troubling you for a little while. I'm also really, really excited. I'll be doing our event tonight, which is the High Vibes event, with 3 other amazing speakers, and really excited about that. If you haven't heard about that, I can pop the link below. We've got online tickets, so if you're not local, you can definitely participate in that event. We'll be live streaming from a closed Facebook group, which will be truly, truly exciting. And I'm in the process of relaunching my Authentic Happiness program, and really excited about bringing this back through as well. It's a fantastic, amazing program which will help you to understand yourself at an amazing level, and to really have you feeling confident and unstoppable at the end of doing that 10-week program as well. It is intensive, but in saying that, it's only 5 to 10 minutes a day, but it is definitely a consistent compounding effect within doing that course as well. Hey Karina, great to have you on, babe. So wishing you all an amazing rest of your day and weekend, and yeah, definitely reach out if you feel that something's going on for you and you'd like some assistance with that. More than happy to have a conversation with you about that as well, and see if and how I might be able to help. So have a great day. Lots of love to you all. Bye for now.